It's what I like to see.
Yeah.
A beautiful count, a beautiful, well, I was going to say a beautiful day, but it's not really a beautiful day right now.
You know what? Our weather dropped like 20 degrees. I'll take it.
Yeah, I mean the temperature itself, sure. The endless rain, a little bit less so.
You know what's a real kick in the balls? Is I have a propensity to lose umbrellas, like to the point where I've noticed and I'm like, no, I don't deserve umbrellas because I'm going to lose it. And so I went a long period of time without owning an umbrella to, like, I don't know, teach myself a lesson. I didn't learn very much. So I bought this umbrella recently. It's a pretty good umbrella. It's I kind of like it. It's like it auto deploys and then you press the button again and collapses on its own. I thought it was fancy. And what normally has been happening for the past couple of years is that I will leave my umbrella on the bus because I would be big sleepy or I would like just be absent-minded and I'll grab all my stuff except my umbrella. And then I won't notice until I'm going, where's my umbrella? But this time I didn't leave it on the bus. I was making a run to Target and I took it off the bus with me, walked into Target. I specifically remember I collapsed my umbrella as I walked to the front door. After like an hour of side quests, I finally get to the register. I pay for my stuff. I go to exit the building and I'm like, dude, where's my umbrella? And I tried retracing my steps to that whole store and I was like, I lost my fucking umbrella. And in the heat of the moment, I was like, okay, I can't keep losing umbrellas. This is like $20+ every time I do it. So I went to look for like a rain jacket or a windbreaker. Nothing fit my size except this one like pale orange looking thing, and it was ugly. But I looked in that mirror and I was like, do I care about function/utility or aesthetic more? And I said I care about aesthetic today, and I put the thing back on the shelf and I just walked out into the rain in my hoodie, sad.
Ooh. Well, at least it wasn't yesterday.
Yeah. No, yesterday was instant flash flooding.
Yeah.
Glad I stayed home nice and mostly dry, I guess. I did leave the window open while I was sleeping. That sucked.
Anyway, welcome to another Pan of You here, my boy. We this week have watched a movie, a rather long one. A very recognized film in movie history. And before we get into it, why don't you read this little summary thing?
Gotcha. Today, we're going to do a little geography, folks. I've noticed recently that people in this country don't know much about their own country. So I'm taking it upon myself to start this episode out with some fun facts about one of the oldest cities in our nation, Boston. For instance, did you know that the oldest structure in Boston is Paul Revere's house? That makes it roughly 340 years old. Wow. Here's another one for you. It is currently illegal to snore in your own home if the windows are open. Shit, I guess I can't move to Boston until I get that surgery. Anyway, while we're on the subject of quirky laws, it is also illegal to take a bath unless you've specifically been instructed to do so by a physician. What the fuck am I supposed to do with all this Nicolas Cage themed bath bombs now? You know what? This is dumb. Boston laws are dumb. This is the dumb Boston laws episode now. Let me get one more out here for before we move on to the movie or whatever. Okay, one more. The defacement of milk cartons is an offense punishable by up to 1 month of jail time. Good thing I love milk and would never dare deface this delectable liquid treat. Put a gun in my head. Anyway, here's a summary for that movie we watched that takes place in this ancient-ass city. The Departed is a crime thriller film which is a remake of a Hong Kong film called Infernal Affairs, as well as being loosely based on the real-life story of the Boston Winter Hill Gang. The story focuses mainly on two cops, one who was raised by a mob leader, and one that's infiltrated the... hold on, my brain broke. Please hold. Beep. The story focuses mainly on two cops, one who was raised by a mob leader and has infiltrated the police force, and the other who has an innocent enough upbringing, but is instructed to infiltrate the gang of said mob leader. Throughout the movie, we get their perspectives over about a year of each man as they independently rise in rank through their respective organizations until eventually their paths begin to cross in more ways than one. Why is reading so hard? It's a race against time to find out each other's identities before they are killed for their true allegiances. Which side will win? Watch the movie to find out. Oh, and trigger warning now, there are a lot of racial slurs casually thrown around in this one and homophobic language. So maybe brace yourself a little for that. And brace yourself for the fact that I will never, ever complete a summary reading without my brain just stalling midway.
This is an exceptionally bad one.
No, I've done worse. I did this one pretty well. I didn't read it perfectly, but I would like ad lib in appropriate moments when my brain like kind of stuttered. I was like, okay, I can. Yeah. That's not my line, but I can play this off as if this is all natural.
The beginning half was good. The second half, when we're actually talking about the movie, you kind of lost your shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't ad lib the movie. I couldn't make that up. It was nothing but facts, and my brain ran out of facts.
Mm-hmm. You know, I have a little bit of a confession to make too about the summary.
Go on.
One of those laws is not entirely true.
Hold on. Let's make a game out of this. If I'm Boston, which one of these dumb laws isn't true? Hold on. Let me scroll back up. All right, so there's snoring, there's bathing.
This was great, by the way. When I started looking some of these up, I was like, this would be a great like podcast idea in and of itself. Like just going through Boston is just so many ancient, useless, maybe not even useless, but so irrelevant laws now that I could spend hours talking about some of these.
That snoring one, that sounds 100% real. Mostly because I probably heard of something in a different state that's like adjacent, and I'm like, yeah, Boston would do that. I believe that. So it's really between bathing and defacing a milk carton. And which one of these? Okay, one of these laws would have to be just like super fucking ancient to the point where like someone probably doesn't even know it's in the like history books or like part of their penal code.
Nobody knows what any of these are actual laws. Let's get something straight here. They're so shot. You ask the average Bostonian about any of these, they don't fucking know.
I bet the lawmakers wouldn't even know, honestly.
I agree.
I'm gonna go with it. Actually, no, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna say the one that isn't true is the milk one, because I genuinely believe that the whole it's illegal to take a bath unless it's like through a physician's orders is some remnant of like some fucking Salem witch trial era shit.
You would be correct.
Hell yeah.
It is absolutely it is, and I verified these laws too. I didn't come in here with false information. It is illegal technically to take a bath without a prescription from a physician. It is also illegal to snore in your home without all the windows closed, or doors for that matter. However, it is technically speaking illegal to deface the milk cartons. It is just not punishable by up to a month of jail time. You get slapped with a hefty $10 fine instead. So it is still illegal. I just gave you the wrong punishment.
There's no fucking way. You know, this is what we threw tea in the harbor for, honestly.
This is why I love this. This was great. I'm gonna start coming in here. The subsequent movies are gonna have nothing to do with Boston, but I'm gonna come in here with the weekly outdated Boston fact. I'm looking for a more sophisticated word than Boston than outdated. I can't think of it right now.
We can workshop it.
So The Departed, Justin. We watched this 2.5 hour barn burner of a movie, and
this is the longest 2.5 hours of my life. Not because it was bad, but I was like, I guess at some point I had just registered like the passage of time, and I was like, how long is this movie? Like, I know it's long, but like, I don't know. I guess it had just been a long time since I've seen like a proper 2.5 hour movie. And I was like, I'm like entertained, and I don't necessarily feel like the movie's dragging, but like it was a weird state of like recognition where I'm like, okay, I recognize that this movie is long, but it's not so long where I'm like, oh, time's dragging. But I'm just here like, man, 2.5 hours? Because I was looking at the clock. I was like, damn, I really did get home at noon, and this is 2:30 and movie's done.
So along those lines, you started you kind of briefly mentioned, but do we like this? Are we about The Departed? Are we not about The Departed? How did we feel at the end of 2.5 hours?
I am surprised that I like this so much. This is a very good movie. I also thought I saw this movie. I definitely thought I applied the name The Departed with insert other mid to late 2000s movie here. So it was, I was surprised to watch a new movie today. Surprised by like how enthralled I was by it. And, you know, I was sitting on the couch watching this and I thought to myself, you know, if you just look past the like randomly dense amount of racist and homophobic language in like the first 10 minutes of this movie, and then like the one like F-bomb, or excuse me, F slur, like somewhere down the road, this movie doesn't age terribly. Like, apart from like just the language thing, as far as I can identify, this movie isn't that bad and like can almost stand the test of time.
Almost. Okay. I'm you know, I think I'm a little surprised by this opinion. A movie of this sort, I wouldn't have pegged you for someone to enjoy it so thoroughly. What do you think it was about it? Just like the intrigue, the crime part of it? I don't know. Did you know it was based off a true-ish story?
I did look into this. I think randomly, like I just remember. I must have looked into this movie months ago because I do remember coming across the fact of like that Hong Kong movie of Internal Affairs. And then by proxy, I'm familiar with this movie just vaguely somewhere in the back of my mind. But completely forgot about it until like, you know, I started pressing play and I was like, because I think it says it during like the credits or whatever. I'm like, oh, right. I think what like kind of sells the movie for me is just the suspense of like, who's gonna win, quote unquote, like who's gonna get got first or whatever. I never once had a clue while the movie was going on, and maybe I made a guess of like, oh, I think this is what's gonna happen, and then I was wrong. and it was like one part of like, you know, initially it feels like a 50-50 coin flip of like, you know, who loses in this tug of war, and I lose the coin flip. But then there's a couple more flips because this coin has like 6 sides. And you don't see the ending coming. I don't know. Like in hindsight, you could have been like, "Oh, that makes sense." But if you called that ending before it happens, I'm calling you a fucking liar.
Are you saying me? I did not call the ending.
No, I'm saying like this hypothetical person who was like, yeah, the way that movie ended, I called that. I'd be like, "You're a fucking liar," or "You cheated." Because there ain't no way you like accounted for this.
Yeah, they have the coin flip towards the end of the movie, and then you realize there's 30 more minutes left in this movie, and you're like, what's going on? I thought this was it. What are we doing? So I agree that there is some intrigue, and it is the driving force behind the movie of, oh well, which of these two guys, Matt Damon or Leonardo DiCaprio, are gonna end up dead. Because that's kind of the trend of this movie, is like who makes it out of this, who wins. And I gotta be honest with you, Justin, I didn't enjoy this movie as much as you did. I don't know. Really? I'm a bit surprised myself, because especially upon like just reading what the movie is about at first before I even watched it, I was like, oh, this sounds like it could be a pretty good film. You know, it's Martin Scorsese. He makes generally good movies. It's got Leo. It's got Matt Damon. Then there's a couple of other notable actors like Mark Wahlberg and Alec Baldwin, but their characters are minor and don't matter too much to the plot. Jack Nicholson as our bad guy extraordinaire. So it has this whole setup of potentially building to what is going to be a good ass movie, but I don't know. I found myself kind of just wondering why some things happened, and also wondering why it needed to be 2.5 hours. I feel like I'm kind of a broken record sometimes on saying that movies need to be shorter, but I don't know. This movie didn't feel like it needed to be 2.5 hours. I feel like we could have buttoned this up to like 2 or 2:10 or something like that. I don't know. It feels like there are some plots that or some scenes that could have been cut or been condensed in a way that didn't have it be such a long movie. And I was kind of surprised. I feel like a little bit of it was that some of the plot elements are a little bit recycled within their own movie, where we just have the same sort of situation play out but differently, where Costello gets into some kind of potential close bind, and then who is Jack Nicholson's character gets into some kind of bind, and Sullivan's got to get him out, and Costigan is just there, like he's there participating on behalf of Queenan, the boss of the undercover cops. And I don't know. It felt like the mystery of it, I guess. I mean, there's not really a mystery. It's just kind of a cat and mouse game of who's going to catch who first. But at no point is really, it's kind of a one-sided cat and mouse game because, well, I guess that's kind of the definition of cat and mouse, but it's really Sullivan just trying to track down who Costigan is. Costigan is just kind of acting out his duty the entire time and just happens to find out who the rat is. He's never actively looking for it. He just happens to see the citizen's envelope sitting on Sullivan's desk at the end of the film. So
he was never hot on his trail, apart from like that one chase scene. The way Sullivan was kind of like on the beat of like everything, like he was always around the corner looming.
Yeah,
Costigan is like trying.
Go on.
He was like, it was like once he figured out there was a rat, he and then tailed Sullivan in that one scene before losing the trail. He was close, no cigar, and then once like his job had finished, essentially, he like kind of threw his hands up with it. He was like, "All right, listen, I did my duty. I'm done with it." But then he just had to see that fucking envelope, and he's like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!" And then he goes back in, and he's like, "All right, one more job, and then I'm done with this shit."
Yeah. So I was a little surprised. I thought this movie was like fine, not bad, but not great or outstanding like I might have thought about. Or might have thought it was when going in. I think this movie was like just fine for me.
Interesting. I'm a little surprised by that. I could maybe understand because like the scene where they like actually meet each other for the first time, that feels like a false finish. And so maybe I could understand like some disgruntledness with that. God damn it. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts about where you would make cuts in the movie, or like where you can condense things, or where you'd be like, this isn't necessary, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So I mean, we can sort of loosely get into the actual film now. I think part of it, I think the beginning is part of it, like the lengthiness of the opening scenes.
That's fair.
There's like a montage at the beginning of this movie of Costigan and Sullivan, Leonardo DiCaprio and Matt Damon's characters respectively, going through training and kind of initially working their way through the police task force while being cut in between with this interview of Costigan with Queenan. And they're basically just outlining how, yeah, your shit ass upbringing, you're like the son of someone who worked with drug dealers, and your cousin's a drug dealer, and your aunt's a drug dealer, and your dog's a drug dealer. Like, fuck you. And then, like, he's just sitting there brooding over this. And then they're like, but because of that, we're going to make you an undercover cop now. And then, but this whole thing takes place over the course of like almost 20 minutes. Like this whole opening sequence is like 20 minutes. And we're seeing mixes of Sullivan in there too, of just like, basically you get one scene of him talking to Queen and basically being like, "You're hired. We fucking love you." And then he gets the job, and then he does. We're just kind of seeing him do odd jobs, and we're seeing him fucking rent an apartment. Like, I don't give a shit, dude. Like, can we just move on? Like, can he just own the apartment later when he has this, when he has the psychiatrist woman, he starts dating her. Like, he could just own this apartment. I don't need a 5-minute scene of him staring out the window and freaking out this real estate agent. Like, whatever. So part of it is this, that like I would heavily just axe a lot of this opening sequence. Give me a couple of minutes of Costigan being maybe a little bit of that interview process, like calling him a piece of shit scum, and then be like, "But we've got a job for scum like you." And then Sullivan, you have to have the opening part where Costello introduces himself to young Sullivan also. That's fine. I mean, you need that to understand the rest of the movie, where you're like, "Oh, well, why the fuck does he answer to this guy?" So that's all fine, but I just feel like it could be heavily broken down and not given to me such length, because the whole time too, I'm like, it's a little confusing at first who is supposed to be who in this movie. Like, who is the kid that gets Jack Nicholson talks to at the beginning of the movie, and then it's just cutting back and forth so quickly between the two of them. I'm like, I'm getting like whiplash in the tone of this film in the first 10 minutes, and it took me a little bit out of it. So that's basically what I'm getting to.
That's fair. I do think the interview with Costigan dragged. I will say that. I think that interview, it was like, it was like cool at first to just be like, damn, this guy's getting railed for no fucking reason. He just wants a new job, and these Mark Wahlberg's character just kind of nailing into him for no reason. But then it's like, it goes on for like a couple minutes too long, and I'm just here like, can we wrap this up? Can he just like get the job or whatever?
Yeah.
That whole interview thing was also just kind of weird. I think it was just like so unorthodox, and they don't like, or at least I didn't pick up on why it like played the way it played out for so long, where I was kind of like, what's going on, guys? What are we doing here? So I can agree on that. Yeah, so I think there's too much focus on Sullivan's like backstory. Like the opening scene of like, you know, him as a kid, that you're mostly introducing Costello's character there more than anything else. The flashback of the academy stuff, that's fine. Maybe I didn't need to see Sullivan play a fucking cops versus firefighter game of rugby, and then him just
oh yeah, what the fuck is that, dude?
Yeah, we don't need that. Any scene of him just staring at that fucking like courthouse building or Capitol building, whatever it is, like it's clearly meant for like, you know, local government shit. And the only reason I say that now in hindsight is because we didn't get any payoff for it. Because in my mind, if anyone had asked Sullivan why he likes staring at that building so much, and I thought he was going to say it on the bench during that fucking rugby game moment. I thought Sullivan, if someone had asked Sullivan why he constantly stares at that fucking like old lawmaker building or government building, whatever, I thought he would have genuinely said, oh, I like staring at it because it looks like a boob. and that would have been enough payoff for me, or it was like worth it every time. You keep staring out your window and looking at that building, young man. You look at
the golden tit.
Look at that golden tit. But we didn't get that. And so now all those moments of him just staring at this fucking golden roof is useless and meaningless and waste of cinema, waste of precious minutes.
Yeah,
we could have had payoff for this.
I bet there's some deeper meaning to be gleaned from it based off whatever that building actually is that they just don't tell you about.
Mayhaps potentially.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even put that one together. Yeah, I didn't even realize that he spent so much time staring out into that building. I know we get the establishing shot, and then at the very end of the movie, we get the rat backdrop by that building too. That one kind of in your face, but man, what a shot.
Yeah, like what a shot. Just like, it's just so odd. It's like, because, you know, this guy's apartment is like big fancy penthouse suite, top floor, and then there's just a rat on the railing of his balcony, and I'm like,
too bad Devin's not here.
I'm just here like, bro, what is that rat doing? Look, get down from there, little buddy. We're that's dangerous.
Yeah, you're in the bougie side of town, dog. In the wrong neighborhood.
You're also like 50 stories up or whatever.
Yeah, so yeah, whatever. So the first 20 minutes of this movie is introduction. Then we start focusing on Sullivan a little bit as this like beginning half problem is introduced. Like beginning half of the movie, the main problem is these microprocessors get stolen, and they're worth fuck tons of money. And
not enough money as I thought they would be, but I think it's just not adjusting for inflation.
2006 was not that long ago. The inflation is not that crazy.
Almost 20 years. Also, what do you mean inflation hasn't been that crazy? Have you seen the prices of milk and eggs?
I mean, potatoes? I agree, but that's on a smaller scale.
Bro, they're paying $5 for a small bag of McDonald's French fries. Inflation is real. Inflation is hard.
You're right. My bad. So we get this microprocessor plot. It's the introduction to the police really trying to take a heavy hand to Costello, which we later learn the police know all about Costello and even have had meetings with him. Like they have that one scene of Queenan and Mark Wahlberg's character meeting up with Costello in the street one day. And so they're just like, yeah, we're going to fucking nail you one day. And he's like, fucking try it, bitch. And you know, so they know they can meet up with him kind of easily and probably could take him down easily enough also. But as we learn later in the film, he's also an FBI informant, which is why any sort of evidence that they've ever given to higher ups to try and bag Costello has ended in failure because of this. The FBI is low key protecting his ass so that he can keep giving them information. So that becomes much more relevant later in the film. But we have this microprocessor thing. Sullivan has to start diffusing the situation from the inside a little bit, as is his job for Costello. And at the same time, you begin to see Costigan make his way into the throes of gangdom. There's a small montage again of him going to jail. He gets incarcerated, makes some jail buddies and gets out, and then meets up with his like drug dealer cousin. And all of this is basically cover for him for his cover as an undercover cop, I should say.
Wild, by the way. That's how the operation starts. Like, you have to go through jail. And like,
I know. No. When they just like forge some documents or something, why does my man have to actually go to jail here?
I guess his cousin would have sniffed it out otherwise. I guess his cousin's wicked smart, you know.
His cousin's like a dumbass and is repeatedly said so throughout this part of the movie. Costello wants nothing to do with and wants Costigan to have nothing to do with his drug dealer cousin. Repeatedly, they're all like, he's an idiot. You don't want to stop wheeling and dealing with him. You're going to end up fucking dead. And they allude to the idea that his father, I think, or his uncle, I think it was his father though, at one point in time also worked with the gang, but then quit and decided to be a luggage carrier, I think, at an airport.
I did lose the plot a little bit when they were going down his family history. I was just kind of like, my understanding, because I also just kind of tuned out after a certain point, I was like, all right, so his mother, his uncle, his two cousins, everyone in his family was like kind of sketchy in some regard, except his father. That's how I understood it. I thought maybe his father was the only guy who went kind of clean, and that was like the explanation for why he was even the cop, because, you know, something about his dad maybe. Because like I said, I did tune out, so I probably made something up along the way. But I was just kind of like, okay, we get it. Is one half of his family or both halves of his family are like, you know, pushing drugs or doing something illegal, and then there's just like one person in that family line that like had a, you know, clean record. And then you're all just wondering, how does this kid go from, you know, rough upbringing, wrong side of town, probably doing illegal activity, to trying to become a state police officer or whatever, trying to sniff him out.
Yeah, I think I just got confused. Either. I think I just got mildly confused a couple of times, because I'm pretty sure towards the beginning of the movie they refer to him as like such and such's son.
No, that sounds right. His dad was definitely an airport luggage person or whatever, just worked at an airport. My understanding after I stopped paying attention was that was all he did, because he had a clean record. He just went to work, went home.
Yeah. So whatever. That's that's another part that's sort of maybe we just smooth brained it and didn't get the full story. Maybe they explain it, maybe they don't. Who knows? Yeah,
Costigan's motivations for being a cop, I don't think were properly fleshed out or explored.
I think Costigan just genuinely wanted to be a police officer, and then he's probably for what you're saying, where like all of his family are just giant pieces of shit criminals, and then his dad was like the one good person, so he just didn't want to be like his family, didn't want to associate with his family, so he decided to be a cop.
Yeah, but it would have been nice if he just said that to Mark Wahlberg's face before you, I don't know, punched him or something.
Mark Wahlberg's character did not give him the time of day to say fuck all, though. He was laying into him.
He also wasn't trying to entertain Mark Wahlberg. He was just looking at Queenie. He's like, yo, who is this? Who's this scumbag? Aren't you the boss? Can I talk to you? All right. I don't need your little bird in the corner yapping at me.
So then at a certain point, not too far after this, we are introduced to maybe the worst character in the film. And I'm not talking about Costello. I'm talking about the one woman in this entire film.
Okay.
The psychiatrist.
I want to hear your gripes with her, because I also have gripes with her character.
She's just fucking dumb.
Okay, yeah, no, this woman is like,
she's just exceedingly dumb for her position.
Yeah, like I'm down for flawed characters. She seems way too dumb for a woman of her stature. Like I've met dumb civil servants and dumb psychiatrists or whatever, but this woman's like extra dumb. Like it's like a conflict in my mind where I was like, you can't be this dumb and have like this smart person job. Ain't no way, bro.
Not only just sort of presented as kind of dumb as a person almost, but then in her position where you have to abide by a lot of very strict ways of acting, and she just throws all of that in the garbage. Like,
bro, her first meeting with
instantly.
Costigan, especially after it ends, and then it ends with her like just throwing a prescription at him, and then saying you clearly have like drug addiction character habits or whatever. I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that specifically was the second time that they meet, but the first time was not a lot better. She just is so, I don't know, just like the way she interacts with Costigan and asks him questions, but he like asks questions back, and she's talking about like her own personal life and experience and stuff, and I'm just like, what are you doing right now? I'm not in this field of study, and I know that this is not how you're supposed to.
I want my psychologist friends or psychiatrists, or I want any of my professional friends to just watch the scenes with her in her office and just tell me how fast she would speed run losing her license.
Oh, I'll do you one better. I found this fun fact on IMDb. Fantastic. Vera Farmiga, who is the actress who plays Madeline in the film, met with a real LAPD psychiatrist to prepare for her role.
Oh, LAPD, all right.
The psychiatrist read the script and told her flat out that Madeline did everything wrong.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Everything wrong.
I thought you were going to tell me that psychiatrist read the script and said, yeah, this is fine. This is exactly how my job goes. And I would have been like, good job. That sounds like LAPD.
No. She's the psychiatrist for the real police said, this is fucking stupid. This character is dumb.
Perfect. It's green, like clip it and ship it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I do know it's so stupid. She acts so against. The most egregious part of it is her sleeping with Costigan that night.
She should have like never had contact with him long enough to ever allow it to happen. Also, that feels so shoehorned.
Oh, 100%.
Like there was like no natural sense of romance or whatever.
They have one coffee date.
Yeah.
Like boy, does this woman not know how to observe red flags, by the way, even with Sullivan. Like the first elevator interaction that she has with Sullivan, just so many bad things displayed. Least of all the part where he says he'll stab someone in the heart with an ice pick just to get a date with her.
Nah, bro, that's just how you flirt in 2006.
Yeah, that's how you get girls in Boston.
In 2006, exactly.
In 2006, right? Yeah, and in the year 2024, we use baseball bats, not ice picks. So the most egregious, obviously, is her sleeping with Costigan, which is bad on a psychiatrist level because sleeping with a client / even former client, bad on a personal level because she's cheating on Sullivan, which, to be fair, Sullivan's a piece of shit anyway, but it's still a measure of her moral compass at that point. You know, Sullivan has not done really anything to wrong her other than seemingly keep secrets from her, but he explains it well enough.
This is like kind of like par for the course. Like,
yeah, he goes, this is work stuff, and she goes, oh, okay, and then she still goes and cheats on him later for seemingly no reason. Like, she just pities Costigan to this point and ends up sleeping with him. Yeah. And then wants to feel remorse later. Like, Costigan calls her up and is like, hey, I'm really sad right now. And she's like, yeah, that was like a one-time thing, dog. I'm not about this anymore.
Just what a poorly written character, bro. And I don't know if it's just like 2006 kind of dunking on psychiatrists culture thing or bad script writing. I don't know, man, but
I think this is just terrible screenwriting for especially the only woman in the entire movie besides his aunt or whatever at the very beginning of the film.
Yeah, this is the only like named woman of like any substance.
Oh, and Jack Nicholson's love interest or whatever. She's whatever.
I'm gonna be real.
Irrelevant to the plot.
I think that woman has less relevance to the plot than the woman, one woman Sullivan interviews in her home when he was investigating whatever case. I think that one witness, or no, it was the mother of a victim from a murder or some crap like that. Early on in the film.
Right.
That woman has more relevance to the plot than Jack Nicholson's love interest.
Jack Nicholson's love interest is just there to make sure you remember that Costello is horny all the time. Well, it's not even horny. Like he even admits at some point in the movie, he's like, I don't even care about sex anymore. Like I do it, but I don't care.
Yeah, why is she there, bro? Like I appreciate her character. She's funny and I don't hate her, but like, why are you here?
Yeah.
Also, why are you with Jack Nicholson's character? I wish I just got an explanation for that. I can make my assumptions.
Money.
Probably. Yeah. It's just like, hey, here's this guy who's rich and powerful. Don't care if he's like 30 years older than me.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, back to the actual plot, I guess, now that we've ranted about Madeline's character.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, she after like the halfway point in this movie, she basically isn't in the plot anymore. We just sort of get rid of her until the end of the film when we have to have her hate Sullivan. So that's cool. So we have finally we get to a point where Costello is making this handoff with the microprocessors to some Chinese mobsters, and the cops have gotten a slight leg up on this because they learn about it. They plant a bunch of cameras at the scene, and Sullivan is kind of blindsided by this. He had no idea this was going on, so he couldn't give Costello the heads up beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's having to do a bunch of damage control. And this was wild. We just have this scene of him with phone in his pocket, his Costello phone in his pocket,
mm-hmm.
and he can just type a text message out while his phone is in his pocket. He just blindly types a text message out that's basically just like, I think it says no phones or something to that extent. Yep. Which I guess
very possible, by the way.
To be fair, possible with those kinds of phones.
I did it all the time.
Did you really?
Yes, I was back in the day where you had to text by, like, if you wanted the letter, I don't know, V, you had to press 8 like 4 times. I was a master at that. I memorized my keypad, had all the necessary buttons to like open a message. I didn't necessarily memorize my like address book or whatever, but like, for his character, I could easily believe it to be like, okay, he has like clearly memorized how many inputs to like open a message, how to send it, blah blah blah. Like all that was very believable to me.
Yeah. So
what wasn't believable was him thinking he was, I don't know, sneaky, and no one's gonna notice him just kind of like rummaging through his pocket during this investigation or whatever
for like 4 minutes.
Especially with Mark Wahlberg's character like floating around in the room, and I'm just here like, bro, it's like I'm looking at Matt Damon like when they zoom out to like show his hand in his pocket. I'm like, bro, he's basically like rubbing his belly. Like no one's gonna notice this. What's going on? Like this is not inconspicuous.
Yeah, there's like an alternate cut of this film where you just hear the subtle. You
just hear the clicking of his phone. It's like click, click, click.
Yeah,
click,
Alec Baldwin looks over and is like, "What the fuck are you doing? Are you pocket sending a message right now? Give me your phone."
Exactly.
And then the movie ends. You're the rat. And roundabout plays at the end. Yeah, so we have this sort of standoff between, Sullivan's trying to save Costello's ass, and at the same time Costigan is trying to give the police a leg up in this situation, trying to apprehend them, but Sullivan ultimately gets the upper hand by getting them to not have the phones, and then also I think he tells them like go out the back, there's no cameras or something like that there. I don't remember exactly anymore. I watched this movie a few days ago, so a little bit of the details are fuzzier, but basically,
I think a large part of that was very, very lucky circumstance. Like the whole like running out the back part, at least. Yeah. As far as I could tell.
Yeah. Well, they also Costello also thought ahead a little bit anyway, and was like, "Hey, we hired a boat instead of going back out to the cars and shit." So
yeah.
And then the Chinese people leave, and Alec Baldwin's character gets extremely upset with the camera techs. Punches the fuck out of him, and
Listen, psyops, or I don't know why I said psyops, Jesus. Whoever's in charge of pre-planning or pre-gaming and setting up stings like this, there's like, listen, we got 2 hours. There's only so many cameras you could think of and place and blah, blah, blah. Should have given me more time, etc.
Yeah.
Wild, by the way, that we just that team just conveniently has this massive blind spot. Also, this plot with the whole microprocessors, this feels so far-fetched to me. Because I'm like, okay, I get it. Nicholson's character, Costello, is big dude in Boston, big gang leader, blah, blah, blah. What is this? Like, for some reason, just the idea of a Irish mobster getting into bed with like Chinese nationals looking for like supercomputer parts just seems so wild and out of like pocket. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, could this have happened in real life? Yeah, absolutely. Do I believe it? Not for a second. I see no reason for these two groups to ever cross paths. Like, what?
Look, man, he's trying to expand the business. You have to become multifaceted. You can't just pigeonhole yourself into one thing like drugs or holding up.
Yeah, he went from basic racketeering to upgrading to like 1 degree off from arms dealing.
Yeah. And he probably, he did a pretty good job of it. On that. I think he even gave them fake microprocessors and like kept the real ones. I feel like I vaguely remember that being a plot point.
He did give them something. I did not suspect it to be fake anything. Because honestly, if he did, I feel like the Chinese arms dealers, whatever you want to call them, would have come back into the plot.
Nah.
And that would have been an additional side to the coin when we flipped it.
I forget exactly how that shook out. I feel like I remember there being something about fake microprocessors, and then also like all the Chinese dudes got killed. I may have made that up, but I feel like I remember.
I think you made that up. I did watch this movie a couple hours ago. It's fairly fresh. I think they literally like do the deal. They drive off in the boat and then we just never see them again. And I feel like that deal went down pretty legitly.
Yeah. And it just, it's just kind of the end. The only thing to come out of this outside of them outsmarting the police is Sullivan proposes his idea to Costello now that there is a mole. That's kind of the first part. This is like when Sullivan really realizes that there's somebody in the gang that is offering the police information. So he asks for these basically biological information, date of birth, social securities from all of the gang members so that he can run all the numbers on them and see what they come up in the police database, so that hopefully one of them comes up as like a locked file and therefore is the undercover police officer working in the gang. So we have the beginning of this final what would be the final plot point of the movie with the citizen envelope and the stupid ass scene with the gangster who misspells citizen, and Leonardo DiCaprio's character corrects it. He's like, look at this idiot. Look at this stupid. That's how you spell citizen, stupid. And then
I thought that was so stupidly funny. Like that tickled me more than I had any right to. And I'm like, okay, a guy not knowing how to spell citizen properly, I could believe that. A guy getting corrected and then telling Costigan that he's a moron and like super duper doubling down on it. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What a guy.
Right after he already admitted, he was like, I don't think I'm spelling citizen right. But then
Costigan corrects him and he's like, okay, I may have not smelled it. I may not have spelled it right. But you spelled it way worse than me.
So just whatever. Just a nothing like funny scene in the middle of this movie. I can get behind it. That one was good. There was also the scene too. I don't remember if it's before. I think it's before this point where he's doing a job with Costello's right-hand man, whose name I can't remember right now, but he's standing next to a guy.
Mr. French? That's what I remember him as. I don't remember his actual name.
French? Mr. French? Sure.
Yeah.
He's like sitting next to... Mr. French is dealing with some other guy, and then Costigan's standing next to a dude sitting on a bench smoking, who reaches into his jacket, and Costigan's so on edge that he just punches the fuck out of him and points the gun at him. He's like, dude, I was just getting a fucking ciggy, man. Like, chill the fuck out. And then Mr. French is like, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know, man. I was on Costigan's side. I'm like, yo, you don't know what he was reaching for.
Right, but then Frenchie goes, he names the guy. He goes, dude, it's Mr. Siggy. I don't remember what his actual name is, but he goes like everyone's supposed to know who this guy is. He goes like, bro, it's Mr. Siggy. What the fuck are you punching Mr. Siggy for? And then Mr. Siggy's like, I'm
why is anyone defending Mr. Siggy? He's currently like he's next in line to get shaken down for not paying his dues or whatever.
Yeah, and then I think the best part of this is like later on, Mr. Siggy's turns out to be a cop undercover.
Was he? Did I miss that?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Well, shit.
And then which is like the second instance of, it's the first instance of this, and then the second one happens later when Queenan is killed by getting thrown off the building. One of them gets shot. One of the gangsters gets shot, and then that guy also later turns out to be a cop that was undercover. So
okay, I think I pieced that together and completely missed it. Like not completely missed it, but it was like I think I pieced it together, but like in like the back of my head where I was like, was he a cop? Oh well, moving on.
Yeah, that's when they're watching the TV, and the guy who's misspelled citizen because he's just a recurring character.
Right.
He's looking at the screen. He goes, "Man, I thought I hid that body well enough in the marsh, but." And then he always pulled out of the marsh, and on the screen, and it's talking about, and the reporter's talking about how he was a cop, and so on and so forth. So
okay, I remember that. I misunderstood that plot point for. In my brain, I made up the idea that they use that guy as like, I guess as a way to like cover up what happened with Queenie, more or less. That's how I understood it. I definitely just like lost the plot a little bit, and I was like, is that what happened? That's what I'm gonna say it happened.
Yeah. Not quite the case.
Definitely didn't think he was an actual undercover cop. I thought they just said he was a cop or whatever have you.
Yeah, because he has that scene too just before he dies where he's like, yeah, I figured out why you weren't at the scene at the time. Ask me why I didn't say nothing.
Wild, bro.
Ask me why I didn't say nothing.
What a wild detail. Be like, yo, I gave you the wrong address and you still showed up to the right one. How'd you pull that one off, kid? And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Also, I feel like you definitely gave him the actual address, but whatever.
No, he didn't. I remember hearing it too. He says the actual address is 344. I think he says 314.
Yeah, and then I thought that's where they went.
No, they definitely still went to 344. He just said the wrong thing for some reason. I don't know. I think he says in the movie that it was an accident, and then it happened to be the case, and he was like, huh, that's weird. You still showed up at the right spot. But anyway, we get the movie theater scene where Costigan almost finds out that Sullivan is the mole inside the police force, and then they have this they're at a fucking a porn theater screening. Jack Nicholson.
Bro, I remember hearing about those like historically. Like that's a real thing that used to exist. I didn't think anyone was gonna find one of those in 2006. That's something I would want to fact check. I'm like, okay, I know these are real. Were these still operational in 2006?
Apparently so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this movie is supposed to actually take place in 2006, or more or less.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever a clearly established like timeline, quote unquote.
Yeah,
I think we like open up the movie and it's like in Boston, some point in time, and I was like, okay,
I think you're right. Yeah. I don't think it ever actually specifically mentions a time frame. So yeah, 2006 porn theaters, excellent. And also Frank Nicholson pretends to jack off and has a dildo.
And he made like a random one-liner of like, man, jacking off in a movie theater, that's weird. And in my head I was like, yo, there's no way these dudes in the front row are actually jacking it right now, right?
Surely not.
Like I know what we're watching on screen, but ain't no way, bro. Ain't no way we're doing this in the movie theater.
I bet they were though.
No,
I bet they were. No shame.
Not like this, bro. Where's the decorum?
Doesn't exist anymore.
Odd.
Yeah. Yeah.
We used to be a country.
Yeah, we used to have such good manners. This country's gone to shit ever since porn theaters. Those probably still exist.
Ain't no way, bro. There's no shot. I don't know. You let me know what comes up, I guess.
Probably the guys in the front row. They're the ones coming. Anyway, you gotta try things once, you know. So we got this movie theater scene and then a subsequent chase scene after, and we don't ever. This is sort of this is Sullivan really getting motivated to figure out who the mole is in the gang, figure out Costigan's identity. And so eventually he realizes that Queenan is going out to have this meeting with Costigan, and he sets a bunch of his guys to tail him, or tells Costello to tell his guys also. And so they do this meetup. Costigan is like fucking done with this too. Like, he is so, there's a reason he was prescribed or told to go to the psychiatrist, because he is just so over this shit and at his wit's end, and he's trying to get Queenan to get him out of there finally before he gets killed. Costigan, that is. And then he learns about it. So Costigan gets the text message like, oh, we're going out to this address. We're going to fuck up Queenan so we can catch the mole. And he's like, great, you got tailed, stupid fat old man. You got tailed, and you thought you didn't, but you did. And now we're compromised. So this ends with Queenan getting thrown off the building for some reason. And now,
yeah, what a wild play.
I'm pretty sure it was an accident. I forget what the stupid,
ain't no way, bro.
I forget what the stupid gangster's excuse was. But it basically came down to like, it got heated up there, and then he got thrown out the window, and it was like, okay, this seems like a very weak way to explain what just happened. I feel like we could have came up with something a little bit better, but whatever, I guess.
It was just such like a bold move. I was like, bro, that's a high ranking official right there. We're just chucking him off a roof. That's crazy, bro.
Yep. Just
confronting him at all was like questionable in my mind. That was wild, but they did it. They dug Dimmadome did it. Rip Queenan.
Although I will say Queenan has one kind of funny line in this instant before he's killed, basically, where he's sitting there and he gets run up by all the gangsters and he got a cigarette in his mouth. He goes, any of you guys got a light? And then the first gangster doesn't answer him. He goes, where's your boy? And Queenan begins to answer, oh, he's studying law at Harvard. and then he gets mobbed by all of them. I heard that part and I was like, oh, at least he's got balls, Queenan, like to crack jokes in the face of all these gangsters. He also was probably just confident that he wasn't going to get killed here, considering, he's a cop. So I don't know. Either way, Queenan ends up dead, and Sullivan pseudo takes over Queenan's position, where it's really Alec Baldwin's character is supposed to be the guy. But yeah. And then we have that whole scene of Sullivan fighting Mark Wahlberg's character briefly. And Mark Wahlberg quits the force because he doesn't want to work for Baldwin and he doesn't want to work with Sullivan. And so he just leaves. But Sullivan keeps the phone that Queenan had to contact Costigan with. And we have this, I thought this was like a dumb scene on Costigan's part, where Sullivan dials the phone and Costigan stares at it and then picks it up for some reason. And Queenan just died. Right. Sure. There could be contingency in place where somebody takes up the role now, but I don't know. This feels like a weird thing on Costigan's part.
It feels like such a rookie mistake of just like, bro, like in my head, the second he picked up and he immediately hung up and realized he's compromised in some regard. Like he started packing his bags. And in my mind, I was like, yo, that's it. Sullivan's going to ask Tech and be like, yo, triangulate where this phone call was, where it pinged, blah, blah, blah. They're about to raid his apartment. They didn't do that. And I was like, all right, so what were we doing here?
Yeah. So like from our outsider's perspective, this seems like a silly thing on Costigan's part. Sure. If you think deeper on it, somebody could have taken up the new post, and this is just another guy checking in. Or with
even
him.
Even if just like emotional heat in the moment where he's just like, man, his bestie just died. He's popping pills. Like he's probably drinking. He's probably not in the right frame of mind, but like, yeah, bruh, come on.
So they have the first call goes completely silent. They say nothing to each other. And then Costigan redials the phone and is like, you know what? I'll see what this shit is about. And so they begin to, they talk, whatever. And Sullivan places the lies, like, I've taken over Queenan's position. I need you to give me information, blah, blah, blah. We're going to find this mole, blah, 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 whatever. So then kind of fast forwarding a little bit through kind of just extra plot. Like there's things that happen in between here at this point between Queenan's death and Like there's a scene between Costigan and Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson's like completely fucked up in a bar, and they have this like 7-minute scene of or was this before Costigan or Queen's death? Damn, I don't remember now. I think that's before Queen's death.
No, it was definitely after. Actually,
I think that's actually before. Now that I think about it, but I mean that is a scene. It was kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Actually, no, I think it was after because there was a bit of time between running everyone's socials, Costigan saying to hell with that, and then Costello confronting him about it, like, yo, why didn't you give him the thingies? But maybe you are right. Maybe it was before.
I think it was, but again, 2.5 hour fucking movie. I think it was before because basically right after Queen's death is when like the cocaine thing happens.
Who can say for sure? Certainly not
Queen
us.
dies. Then they have the bar, like they're sitting in the bar after the fact. A citizen guy asks him, why didn't he show up to the thing on time? Whatever.
Did my internet die? Am I big?
Then the phone call happens, and then I think it pretty much rolls straight into cocaine deal. I think the drunk Nicholson at the bar happens.
Audience, if you're there, tell Christian that I can't hear him, and I'm scared.
The part where basically,
welcome back, buddy.
Welcome back. What happened?
I stopped hearing you for about 60 seconds.
60 seconds?
Okay, maybe not 60, but it was.
Oh my god!
What
was the last thing you
long
heard?
amount of time. We were saying how we lost the plot of whether or not Nicholson confronting Costello confronting Costigan.
Yeah. I'll tell you. Okay. I'll tell you why in shorter terms. Why I'm pretty sure it was there, because Costello confronts him on like why he left the bar after getting the citizen or doing his citizen things, and this was definitely before Queenan dies. So I'm pretty sure that is the case there. So anyway, now we have this big cocaine thing, and again the cops end up finding out about it. So we're rerunning this plot again, but this time the cops have a little bit more of a head start and have already set tails. Now Sullivan's having to clean up again. He manages to get the tails off of Costello, but not in enough of a way, in a meaningful enough way where the cops are completely fooled. They still know where he's going, in part because of Costigan. And I think by this point in the plot, Sullivan has now knows that Costello is a FBI informant, and it has questioned all of the time he spent now with Costello, and wonders if he's been compromised at this point, and it has his name is known to the FBI and could at any moment just be arrested. So he's freaking out, and I think at this point he gets the tail off of them, only to later end up killing Costello at the end of all of this. Shit goes to hell for Costello's gang, and I just, tell me what you think about Sullivan's decision here, and his thought process.
For like post, offing Costello.
Yeah, he learns about the FBI thing, and then he freaks out and ends up setting up Costello. What do you think the goal here is besides just like killing him?
My understanding of the final moments of Costello, I understood it as like that was just unfortunate coincidence. Like I didn't interpret it as Sullivan like setting him up. I think I understood it as like, oh, like they were working together. I don't know, someone missed something along the way. I thought maybe Costigan like had pulled one over on him. And so they end up like confronting each other like in the heat of a crime or whatever. And I interpreted the scene as like Sullivan's still looking out for Costello despite being like super paranoid about it all. And then Costello just like raises his gun at him, and he's like bang bang, and then he's like, oh shit, I killed Pops, and then Pops still tries to shoot him on his way out. He's like, old bastard. That's how I interpreted it.
And then he empties the entire fucking magazine into him.
Yeah, at some point he was committed. He's like, all right, old man, it's not how I wanted to go down, but honestly, it's probably bound to happen.
Yeah, I thought it was more like Sullivan just finally just getting rid of Costello, and he was like, you know what, you've done all this stuff for me. It was great while it lasted, but my job, I'm set as a cop now. I'm like a high ranking guy. I make the monies. I got the girl. Like I don't need this. I don't need this anymore. I don't need to be threatened by you as an FBI informant and have this hang over my head all day now. So that was kind of like he initially was gonna let Costello get out of that situation, and then he just decided that maybe in the moment where the cops had already cornered them all, he was like, you know what, I could wash my hands of all this right now. So it's kind of
I think Sullivan was still pretty committed to him until Costello raised his gun at him, and he was like, all right, well.
I see you've chosen death.
Yeah.
So finally, after this all ends, we have our two moles meeting each other for the first time finally. And Costigan's like, whew, man, that shit sucked. I want my money and I want to go back to my normal life, please. And then Sullivan goes, sure thing, buddy, and wipes his ass from the system. I think originally
that's just crazy that we could do, like, it probably doesn't work exactly that way, but like crazy how like that guy just no longer exists essentially.
Yeah, well, I think he specifically deletes his record as a police officer.
Like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, so that he can't. So originally it seems like he's going to pay out Costigan and give him his money, and then Costigan's just not in the office anymore. And then he makes the decision. He's like, all right, well, fuck this guy. He was fucking with Costello. He was making my life hell. I was just going to kind of let him go maybe, but now fuck him. And also he probably knows something given that he ran away. I don't remember. Did he see the citizen note like shifted out of position or anything?
Yes, he saw it like slightly under a pile and he was like, that looks familiar. Well, no, what's that?
Costigan, I know Costigan saw it. I'm saying like, did Sullivan just like see him not in the room and was like, where the fuck did he go? Or did he like...
Yeah. When he came back, he's like, oh, I got your paperwork. We're all set. He's like, where'd this kid go? And then he looks at his desk and he's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Because he saw the note, like, or whatever, exposed.
Yeah. So this is, and there's still like 25 minutes left in this movie too. So you're like, where the fuck?
This is the false finish I was talking about. I was like, I thought this is it. I thought, we go our separate ways with only one of us knowing who the other is. And Sullivan would have just like let bygones be bygones because he was like always a step ahead. Like ostensibly he should have like never been caught. At least from my understanding at that point in the movie until, further developments are made. But I was really just like, yo, he could just let Costigan go. He can be like, listen, man, no harm done. Costello's dead. I'm Gucci. You can be Gucci too. And then end movie. But no, we got 20 more minutes of plot.
Yeah. And part of this 20 minutes of plot is finally getting back to our favorite character, and where Costigan hands her this thing, this letter. And then also Costigan has mailed a package to the house addressed to Sullivan specifically. What does Costigan hands her what does he hand her again? Was it the Citizens?
I don't actually know.
It was the Citizens envelope, right?
No, it was just like a vanilla envelope. I long blinked at some point and missed like, because we see Madeline, that's her name?
Madeline, yeah.
We see Madeline like using the stereo to play tapes or whatever that she got from somebody. I missed like the in between of that because I guess it's blinked or whatever. So I just assumed those tapes that she was listening to were what were in the envelope that Costigan gave her, but I don't actually know that for sure.
No.
I also definitely missed this point that you just said about Costigan mailed something to Sullivan's place.
Yeah,
I missed that entirely.
That's where the tapes come from. Like in the mail, a different envelope. I don't think we ever actually get what was in that envelope. Like the one that he hands her, like personally.
I believe that.
I don't think that ever.
Whatever contingency he had in there, I definitely did not pick up on it.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever get what was in there. Shit. No, yeah.
Plot hole. Dun dun dun.
What's his face? Definitely. Costigan definitely, or just like, something cut. This movie was probably longer, and they just like were like had to cut this part. Yeah. No, Costigan definitely mails this other thing with the tapes in it to his house, and that has the note, a short note, and like it's even addressed from Costigan. Like he makes no attempt to hide that it's from him. Like the return address in the top has his name on it and his address or whatever. So then it's these tapes are from when he was in the movie theater. And Madeline listens to him, and it's about, you just hear the whole movie theater scene again, and she realizes that Sullivan's a piece of shit and has been working with mobster and all of that. And also, as an extra slap in the face to Sullivan specifically, she's pregnant because why not?
She's pregnant?
What do you mean she's pregnant? As a question.
She was pregnant?
Yeah, they have a scene right before that in the apartment where, remember when they're on the bed? I
must have long blinked a lot harder than I thought I did. Oh my God.
Because they even give you the ultrasound of the baby.
There was an ultrasound.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, what happened?
There's a picture of the ultrasound while that's what she has. She has a picture. He's laying on the bed, and she comes in, and she's like, blah, blah, something, something, something. It's like right after she puts the yellow envelope away, she has this tiny little letter envelope for him, for Sullivan.
I long blinked for so long.
That's a super long blink.
This is not real. This is not my reality.
Yeah. It's literally the scene in between her talking to Costigan and her listening to the tapes is her talking to him about the fact that she's pregnant, dude.
That's wild.
To be fair, doesn't fucking matter to the plot whatsoever. Means literally nothing again. It's just another slap in the face to Sullivan, another thing that he's losing in this moment when she discovers who he is now. So, she's found out. She locks herself in a room or something, and Costigan had left his phone number. That's what it was. Costigan had left his phone number with the tapes, and he reveals that actually Costello had just been recording. He records every fucking conversation he's ever had, and just had tape boxes after tape boxes of this stuff. So then finally.
What a weird thing to do, by the way. Like, what's the point of that besides just making your own paper trail to find yourself?
It's conversations for the FBI is what it was.
I guess.
This is the type of information he's handing off to the FBI, the evidence that he has. So
okay, you're valid.
So they decide to meet finally, face to face again, and it's at the place where Queenan was killed, and the scene this whole scene that plays out is just is nuts from this part forward, where Costigan just starts just accosting Sullivan, pointing a gun at him. He's like, I'm gonna expose your ass. And then the token black guy we get at the beginning of the movie shows up and is like, hey, whoa. You ain't gonna do nothing with the captain or whatever Sullivan's fucking position is these days. And Costigan's like, oh, hey, well, we were boys. We talked shit about the fire department at that. Wait, no, that was Sullivan's character. We went for a jog once in the police academy together. You know me. I'm a cool guy. I'm chill.
Yeah.
And then and then the rest of the elevator scene happens. You want to tell the people what the rest of the elevator scene is?
Okay, so we get token black character. He lets Costello and Sullivan go down the elevator because he's like, I just can't pull the trigger. So they get to whatever floor they get on, and the door opens, and then a bullet just flies through Costigan's head, and we see who pulled the trigger. It was it was
some random cop.
It was Sullivan's. Yeah, it was another cop. It was Sullivan's. Like I think he was like the underling, right?
Oh fuck if I know.
Like there was a guy who would like constantly show up at crime scenes with him, and he was kind of like a lower ranking officer. Do I have that right?
He's definitely a lower ranking officer, but I did not recognize this guy whatsoever. I would believe you if he was there the whole time, but
there was one cop who would consistently show up, and I think it was him. I could be wrong, but anyway, cop shows up, blows his brains out. Sullivan knows him. I could tell you that much. And he's like, oh crap, what's going on? Oh wait, okay. So he does that, and then black cop shows up. That guy gets popped in the head too.
Poor dude.
And Sullivan's like, what's going on? And he's like, "Oh, you thought you were the only cop on Costello's, payroll or whatever? Nah, bro. We're in this together now. Like I'm in the deep trenches too." So he frees Sullivan from his handcuffs. Sullivan's like, wiping fingerprints on guns, which I don't even know if that's an actual thing you can do. But anyway, he starts wiping guns down, blah blah blah, and then pops this other guy in the head. And Sullivan's like, I am making sure I'm the only person who knows has gone down here and has gone down with Costello and me. I am tying up all loose ends.
Yeah, Sullivan's like, yeah, we're in this together. Pop!
Yeah.
Together.
Yeah.
Me, myself, and I.
What a turn of events, man. I did not think. Maybe at some point I thought Costigan was gonna die. That's not how I thought it was gonna go down.
Yeah, I
like that elevator scene was wild.
Very, very surprised when that part happened. Or maybe it was just unexpected, less surprising. Just like, whoa, that was out of fucking nowhere. He just gets unceremoniously popped as soon as the elevator opens, and you're like, oh, okay. And in that, in this moment, you're like, fuck, man, there's no way Sullivan wins this at the end of the movie, right? Like, Sullivan can't possibly be the one that gets away with this.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because I completely forgot about the actual ending. My brain was like, this is where the movie ends. And I was like, wait, nope, there's one more thing.
No, he gets popped. There's still like 10 more minutes in this movie. And then we get a short scene of Costigan's funeral. Sullivan's there, or there's a scene of him talking to the press too. He's like recommending him for a medal or whatever. There's the funeral. Psychiatrist chick is there. And then we've got this seemingly mundane scene of Sullivan coming back from the grocery store. He gets up to his apartment and then suddenly he's being held up at gunpoint. And lo and behold, it's the most racist character in the entire movie. Mark Wahlberg's character shows up, and he's dressed in like he's been sitting
Hitman
here. He's in full assassin mode, where he's got fully covered. He's got covers for his shoes. He's wearing gloves. He's got a beanie that he throws on afterwards, and his gun's got a fat silencer on it, and he just one shot to the dome of Sullivan, and that's it. So Sullivan does not win either. I guess Mark Wahlberg wins. Or maybe the rat wins, because it seems like the rat. I think the rat owns that apartment now by rights.
He has squatter rights.
Unless the psychiatrist Madeline is still in there. She might still be locked in her room.
When she wasn't home, I assumed they had broken up.
I'm sure they have. Yeah, I'm sure they've broken up at this point. I don't know how long.
Also, when they were panning up to look for like the final shot of the balcony with the rat, I was so scared that I was going to see Madeline's body. I'm like, come on, Mark, don't do this. We didn't have to do this. That would have been awful. I'm glad it didn't happen.
Yeah. I guess they didn't have a heart to kill a pregnant
Mark
woman.
Wahlberg from the top rope, the man we all least expected, but also in hindsight probably should have expected. Just he said he finished the job. He's like, this is for queening.
Yeah. So, and honestly, I'm not even sure. I think at that point, I don't think his character, unless he just had some kind of inside information, he shouldn't truly know that he was the Costello's informant either. I don't think there's, unless he sent other letters to people, Costigan, that is.
I think I made that assumption. I was like, post Queen and Death, Costigan probably was still talking to Mark Wahlberg's character on the side, just like off screen. I would believe that, and that's what I chose to believe. That's how any of this finale happens.
Yeah. So that's that.
That's that. And you know what I learned at the end of this movie with the final scene of a rat on a railing in front of a golden tit for a roof? I learned that snitches get stitches, bro.
Snitches begin stitches, dude.
Anyone who's a rat in this movie, dead. You talk, dead. You yap, dead.
Yeah, no yapping.
Mind your business.
No yapping. All you gotta do, no yap.
Just mind your business.
So yeah, that
you'll be okay.
That's The Departed. Again, just to like reiterate, this movie's fine. Like I think this movie has merit. In terms of, star power, all of the performances themselves are really good outside of, the abundance of not
poorly
aging language,
tropes and characters and stuff like that.
And also the terribly, terribly written female lead. Yeah. So, there's merit here to what the film is. Just didn't strike a chord with me like I thought it would. By all rights, it should be a movie that I enjoyed. It just, I don't know, something about it didn't entirely sit well with me. And I know that once Brendan hears this, he's going to be very torn up because Brendan apparently loves this movie. I was talking to him when we were doing our last recording, and he was like, man, I really wish I was doing The Departed also with you because I really, really like that movie. And I hadn't watched the film yet at the time, but I was like, oh, really? Man, that sucks. I would have loved to not often do outside of the musicals we've watched together. I don't think he's really ever explicitly stated that he loves a movie we were supposed to watch. So I was like, oh man. And I tried to get him to come on for this one, but he declined. So but it's fine. I'm gonna get him on for a different 3-person cast when we do the next one. I'm excited
for that one.
Yeah, I am too. I'm really excited for that one. I don't know if Brendan's seen that film yet, but you have already said you haven't, and I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what you guys' first thoughts is, because for the first time in probably in a long while, maybe even ever. I don't know. I have seen this movie and other people have not. So that is a bit exciting. But anyway, I have the box office and the budget for this film, my boy.
Oh, boy.
I would kindly request that you attempt to guess. And I have a fun fact about the budget afterward, which may not even be that hard of a fun fact or that far of a reach. Probably pretty predictable.
Interesting.
But anyway, what do you think they made this movie for?
I have no justification for this. My brain's screaming at me $20 million. I'm going to lock in $20 million.
Okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity like Brendan gave me last week because I too made an absurd guess for The Sorcerer's Apprentice when we watched it, mostly out of jokes, but he was very upset by it. I'm gonna let you rethink this, and I'm gonna give you the same frame of reference that he gave me in that recording also. For reference, the Scooby-Doo movie from the year of our Lord 2002 was made on a budget of $84 million.
Right.
So with that in mind, what do you think they made The Departed for?
All right, well, there's no CGI, so it quote unquote can't be that expensive. Leo is a big name. 2006, is Matt Damon a star yet? Hard to say. It's Jack Nicholson. I don't think there's Martin Sheen.
There's Marky Mark. Alec Baldwin. Quite a few big names here.
Yeah, there is him.
As we continue to list them.
There are a couple car explosions.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm a match Scooby-Doo. $80 million.
Much better of a guess. Yeah, they made this movie for $90 million, roughly.
Damn.
And the fun fact is that roughly half of that budget went to actor salaries.
Ow.
Roughly $45 million went to all of the big names that you saw.
What a statistic. Meanwhile, production crew is getting paid $7.25 an hour.
Yep.
Criminal.
So, absolutely, with that in mind, and kind of already knowing that this is a big name movie that people have seen, what do you think? How well do you think it did? How much money do you think it made?
Okay, I know this movie's popular now and probably around that time, like for like DVD purchases and stuff like that. Would I assume this did well in the box office? I mean, I have no reason not to. I will say $160 million.
A noble guess, but still very far off the mark. This movie was an outstanding success. They made $291 million on this film.
Wow.
That was the gross domestic box office for this movie worldwide. Very, very, very profitable film. I wonder how it might have gone. I mean, I don't know. Infernal Affairs is a different movie, not loosely based off of a real story. So this movie, The Departed, has the same plot as Infernal Affairs, where there's opposing sides. One, there's a cop who's infiltrated the gang, and there's a gang person who's infiltrated the cops. The Departed just adds this added real life flair onto it, where it loosely bases itself off of that Winter Hill gang that I mentioned in the summary. But Internal Affairs, I guess because it's a entirely fictional plot, has two sequels. I think there's 3 total movies. This one obviously doesn't get another one, but it made enough money that they probably could have tried if they really wanted to. But also, the 2 characters are dead at the end. So what would this movie really be about? So, yeah. So with that being said, I have Letterboxd reviews, and man, sometimes well-known movies have good Letterboxd reviews, and sometimes they have bad Letterboxd reviews, depending on what the content of the film is. This movie had pretty good ones, actually, I would say.
I'm not surprised.
People like making jokes, and they especially like making memes about big name actors. So with that being said, I have 6 reviews. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reviews. And let's do this one. Go down the line from here. This movie wouldn't be nearly as good if the characters didn't have flip phones to dramatically shut at the end of each conversation.
I'm not going to lie to you, bro. The magic of flip phones can never be recreated. I know we've gone kind of like full circle with like a lot of these phones coming out that are like, they're not flip phones, but like they fold, which is really weird in my brain.
Samsung's fucking wild for it.
Yeah, it's so
weird. It's like
weird.
A kind of good idea, but it hasn't. We don't have the tech to make it seamless yet.
Bro, there was something magical about just, you're done with the conversation.
Snap that bitch back. And
also, I remember my mom had a flip phone back in the day where it had a button where the hinges for, the flipping aspect. And you would press the button and it would flip open for you. And I thought that was the coolest feature ever.
Like a switchblade.
Yeah, exactly. You just pull your phone out of your pocket, release the trigger or whatever, and then bam, hello, who is this?
I did not have that. That's gnarly.
It was beautiful.
I did, however, one of my first phones. I think I had the Motorola like micro razor. It wasn't the full sized razor. It was like the slim version, but I also had a Sidekick S phone where it slid sideways and you got the full keyboard.
I do remember that. Yep, I remember the razor.
For that phone, I had a belt clip. I was rocking a belt clip.
How did you feel about the belt clip? My mom made me like carry my phones in a belt clip, and I hated it. It gave me dad with fanny pack energy at like 9 years old, and I was not about it.
I willingly used that belt clip.
Better man than me.
I thought it was for the convenience, I was like, I need to pull my phone out. It's ringing off the hook. I got so many people dialing my number, texting me, lighting me up. I need quick access. Oh, right there. Boom, done. I quickly realized that it wasn't cool and would no longer use that while going to school anyway. I might break it out if I was going out on the town down to my local Nathan's arcade area, but definitely not at school anymore. You got made fun of for having a belt clip at school.
Absolutely.
So yeah, with that being said, what was this review?
Oh, right.
Yeah, star-wise.
5 stars, all in.
So close. 4.5 on that one.
What are we holding back for? Just commit, bro.
I don't think they had the belt clip. I think they were up. They're still holding back because they didn't have the belt clip.
They don't know ball, bro. They don't know ball.
They don't got style. Next review says the 5 funniest words characters say in a Boston accent in The Departed. Here I go.
I'm scared.
Number 5, departed. Number 4, accordingly. Number 3, Costello. Number 2, Contra fucking band. And then number 1, which was a lot of people's favorite, actually. People really like this one. Microprocessors. That's the end of the quote.
This is the dumbest review I think you've ever read to me. And there was that one from Last Unicorn about the dying Earth or some shit like that. I'm giving this a 1.
A 1
for posterity. This deserves a 1. I'm reviewing the review. This review is a 1-star review.
Yeah, well, I think your review of the review is terrible too. This is great. This is a 4-star review.
Garbage.
Yeah, this person gave it a 4-star. Yeah, that feels right. I don't know. This is funny. They're making fun of the Boston accent. I mean, especially no one really beats Mark Wahlberg in this movie in terms of accent. Like he goes, I think
actually, honestly, if you told me Mark Wahlberg was an actual Bostonian,
I'm pretty sure he
is.
Is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's actually from Boston. And it's not. You're right. It's not hard to see. He slips back into it very easily.
Yeah.
Next review. Alec Baldwin and Mark Wahlberg, upon reading the script and finding out that they'd be saying racial slurs, happy face emoji.
Run that one back.
So this is like this is like, imagine the style of POV, blah 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 blah. So this is POV. Alec Baldwin and Mark Wahlberg, upon reading the script and finding out that they're going to be able to say racial slurs, and it's just happy face emoji.
I'll give it a 3.
No, they were very happy that they were going to get to say racial slurs. This is a 4.5-star review.
What is this commenter like? What's their goal here? What's
their goal here is to make the funny.
I guess I don't know. I lost their objective.
They're peering into the minds of Alec Baldwin and Mark Wahlberg, and they're like, yeah, these guys they definitely love saying racial slurs and bad things about queer people.
Anyway, this movie's 4 stars. I liked it. That's like off screen. That's in a different blog post.
All right. So anyway, about we'll do a review about our favorite character. That rat in the final shot. Yeah, he's the one who brings Ant-Man back from the quantum realm. But you didn't care about him until then, did you? You couldn't have cared less until he landed a role in a big blockbuster. And then all of a sudden you're talking like you've been following his career from the start. You're just like everybody else. Pathetic.
That is the most 5-star review. 5-star reviews I've ever read in my life. I didn't see Quantum Realm, so I hope there's a rat at the end of that movie when I eventually see it.
It's at the beginning of like the Avengers movie or something. It's in one of the Avengers movies where I think it's Infinity War, because like half
time to go back.
Or
I need to find
Endgame. One of the two. I think it's whichever one came second. I think Endgame. Did Endgame come second? Whichever one was second of those two. That's how Ant-Man comes back and like half the world is destroyed. And then he has to figure it out anyway. I agree that it's a 5-star review, but this person gave it 4.5 stars instead. This one,
what are we
this one, I'm
bro?
like, yeah, I don't know. Where did the half star go off from? Like, where did we lose it?
What are we doing? What? Commit. Just commit.
All right, second to last one. Got the last two kind of short. This one even shorter. Movies set in Boston count as foreign cinema. They're like basically speaking a different language in Boston. Microprocessors.
This wasn't a meme back then, probably, but I'm really sad no one said Wicked Smart.
Wicked Smart. My khakis. Your car keys.
What's really funny? I don't know if you said khakis or car keys.
You see? I'm basically from Boston.
I'll give it a 4.
This was the 5-star review.
There's Nick, bro. Throw it out. Throw it away. Throw all these letterbox reviews in the trash. Except that really funny one. Except that 4.5.
Yeah. Except cool. The one about the five funniest words they say in Boston accent. That was good.
Not that one. That one was lame.
I do have a bit of an addendum. I'm gonna read you I'm gonna read you a different review. This person didn't actually give a star rating, but it is the most liked review for The Departed on Letterboxd by a large margin, with 20,000 likes, and the second most only having 7,700. This person says, "I'm always a bit nervous talking about my past publicly just because people can have such a weird sense of familiarity. I don't know, fuck it, I'm proud of my work. So I was the dialect coach on this movie, but only for the word microprocessors. I taught everyone how to say the word microprocessors in the funniest way possible, and I did an amazing job. I agree. Didn't get enough time with Vera, obviously, but the past is the past. If your thought to this is something along the lines of, that doesn't make any sense, or weren't you around 10 at the time of production? To you, I say, shame on you. Whatever happened to listening to women's stories?" Anyway, your prejudices aside, I love this movie. I love rewatching it. I love the performances. I love Alec Baldwin hugging a man saying the Patriot Act, and I love being from Boston. So I just figured that would be a fun addition to have the person who had taught them how to say microprocessors in the best way possible. So the actual final review for you to guess on, I have, quote, "Man, I thought this was going to be about ghosts or some shit," end quote.
Well, there's at least 5 ghosts by the end of this movie. We give it a 4.
No, this person did not like this movie. 2.5 stars. They got through the whole movie. We're waiting for ghosts the whole time. Really disappointed by the end, and thus 2.5 star review.
You think they went into this movie blind, like no recommendation, no nothing, or like someone told them to watch it and just said, "Yeah, it's a ghost flick"?
I don't know. I think they must have gone in blind. I don't think anyone told them anything about this movie.
Incredible.
Yeah. So, but anyway. That has been our The Departed cast.
Somehow we were here for an hour and 45 minutes. I don't know how we pulled that off.
Yeah.
Every time.
That is every time.
I don't know how we do it. I mean, I know how we do it, but I don't know how we do it.
We know how we do it.
We're the problem. We know it.
We're the problem.
I can't tell if you're doubling down on me or trying to deflect the blame to me. I can't.
No, I'm just saying words at this point.
Fair enough. Time for me to say some more words. Thank you for listening to our podcast tonight, today, tomorrow, in the morning, whenever you get to this. If you'd like to reach out to us on social media, we're on Twitter and Instagram at Panda Sightings. If you wish to email us, you can do so at pandasightings@gmail.com. Please do. I want someone to DM us, to email us and be like, "Bro, I don't know anything about this One Piece nonsense y'all do, but that last unicorn episode was fire, bro. I love Schmendrick," or something like that.
Fucking Schmendrick, dude.
Who recommended this movie?
Was Taco's recommendation.
This is Taco. Right. So shout out to our producer Taco. And if you wish to become a Patreon member like Taco, you can do so at Patreon/Panda Sightings and blah blah blah. We have a community Discord where you can talk to people mostly about One Piece. Feel free to go in there and just be like, bro, I love movies, and someone will talk to you. Mostly Taco, he likes movies. Yeah, we got cool stuff in there. We're also watching the Olympics. People are going crazy for the Olympics this year on our server. People are waking up at 4:30 in the morning to watch rock climbing. And
hell yeah, we are.
What else? Insane.
But also that's irrelevant to anyone listening to this because the Olympics have been over for probably 2 weeks by this time.
Shout out to that one male gymnast, Steven. Last name starts with the
Pommel Horse guy.
Yeah, Pommel Horse guy. You rock, dude.
I also learned today that apparently he's in the top 1.7% of Rocket League players as well. So
that's nuts. That's my hero. That's my goat. Let's go, Steven. Let's go, Steven.
Let's go.
Anyway, rest of social plugs. Discord, Patreon. We have a Redbubble merch shop. It's mostly for One Piece, but you should buy stuff anyway. There's cool stuff in there. Things I'm going to start hopefully remembering to plug. Rate us 5 stars on our podcast. Comment, like, subscribe on YouTube or wherever you want to reach out to us. All that stuff helps. It tells us we're doing a good job, and I want to do a good job. So tell me I'm doing a good job. And I think that's it. Also, yeah, on One Piece of Lime, just a random thought. We're at a 4.8. That's too low. I made my piece with 4.9. I refuse to be any lower than that.
I agree. We got to bump those numbers up.
Mm-hmm.
What are we on PandaView? Are we 4.9 on PandaView also?
No, let me flip that bad boy open. Let's find out.
I think that's right. We don't have nearly as many reviews, but I'm pretty sure we're 4.9.
PandaView, we are scrolling up 4.9.
Yeah, that sounds right.
4.9 on Spotify with 49 reviews.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah, that checks.
We're just gonna screenshot that for later. What an image! I can't believe we're a 4.9.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have a dedicated fan base of 49 people, and all of them gave us 5 stars except for one, and we probably both know who it is.
God damn you!
So anyway, thank you once again for listening to this one. We'll be back next week with another PandaView movie. Bye, everybody.